Hey guys, in this video I'm going to be showing you a productized AI sales system that we built for one of our most recent clients that enables you to scrape leads for a particular ideal customer profile, enrich those leads, qualify those leads, generate personalized LinkedIn and email messaging for those leads, and even send the messages. I'll first be giving you a demo and an overview of the solution, and then I'll be giving you a more detailed breakdown of the system inside of N8N. If you don't know me, my name's Luke Clark and I run an AI agency called Catalina AI, and if you're interested in working with us, click the link in the description. Just before getting into the demo, I wanted to point out that if you're interested in getting your hands on the end template and the Airtable base for this system, head on over to our new school community, the AI Marketing Hub. Myself and my business partner Daniel Agrici have recently created this community to help people working in sales and marketing enhance their processes with AI. And all of our advanced production ready systems will be made available in the AI Marketing Hub Pro community. So if you want the system, the N8N template and the Airtable base, please head on over to the community and we'd be absolutely delighted to have you. Alright guys, now with all of that said, let's get into this demo. So we've built this solution using N8N, which acts as the workflow automation tool, Airtable, which acts as the backend database for the system, and Airtable interfaces to build a nice user interface for the client, which is a really nice touch as the client then feels like they've received a nice packaged and productized system. So over here in N8N, as you can see, the workflow is extremely large and complex. However, I'm just going to work my way down from top to bottom, giving you a very brief explanation of each one of the automation workflows here, and then we're going to go into more detail as we work through the demo. Okay, so first we need to initiate a company setup. Then we need to get Unipile information. We're using Unipile to send the LinkedIn messages. Then we need to generate a LinkedIn messaging template, which we will use as a framework for generating the personalized LinkedIn messaging. Here we will scrape Apollo leads, and here we will scrape leads by implementing a site LinkedIn Google query. If you don't know what a site LinkedIn Google query looks like, it looks like this. So for example, founders of marketing agencies in London, you type that in with site LinkedIn before it and you get all these LinkedIn profiles of founders of marketing agencies in London. To give you a very brief overview, there's two types of campaigns that we can initiate in this system. One of them is an Apollo campaign and one of them is a Google search campaign. Then here we are enriching our Apollo leads. Here we are enriching our Google search leads. Here we're going to qualify our Apollo leads against our ideal customer profile. Here we're going to qualify our Google search leads against our ideal customer profile. Here we're going to first verify the email, which is very important to ensure that we're sending emails to valid email addresses. And then we're going to generate personalized email messaging for our Apollo and our Google search campaigns. Then here we're going to send the LinkedIn messages. Here we're going to send our LinkedIn follow-up messages. Here we're going to check for LinkedIn replies and stop the campaigns in the case that somebody replies. And here we have several different automations that we use to update the daily connection limit for LinkedIn, pause campaigns when the daily connection limit is reached, reactivate daily campaigns, pause campaigns, and that is it. Okay, so that's a very brief overview of everything inside of N8N. And with that said, let's get into Airtable interfaces so I can show you how you can actually use this system. So here in Airtable interfaces, the first thing we need to do is create a sender. So we go to the sender setup page and then we click plus here and then we create a sender. So this is the sender of the person who will be doing outreach for the company. So for example, in my case, I can put my own name. I can put my company name, Catalina AI. I can put my company website. And then I need to put the Unipile account ID, which is important for the LinkedIn outreach that we will be doing. And then you click create, and this initiates a company sender. So here we have Luke Clark from Catalina AI. And then what we can do is we can generate company information. We can also click this button to get the LinkedIn provider ID. So as you can see, the status here now is then updated to generating company details, and this will create a company overview, ideal customer profiles, service and offerings, evidence and proof points, unique value proposition, our unique selling point, value proposition, target sectors, brand voice and tone, pain points addressed, unique additional information. And all this information is going to be used as context for then building the personalized LinkedIn messaging and email messaging. So let's wait one moment until this is finished generating. Okay, so that just finished generating there. And as you can see, very detailed information has been retrieved. So Catalina AI is a technology partner that builds bespoke AI-powered sales and marketing solutions. The ideal customer profile. So We have several ideal customer profiles retrieved here based on what's on our website, and I'm just going to remove these ones because for the demo purposes I just want to focus on SEO and marketing agencies, services and offerings, so the AI powered SEO growth engine, AI powered LinkedIn outreach system. Again, I'm just going to focus on SEO because I just want this solution to be used as context for building the LinkedIn outreach messaging. Then we have some client case studies, unique selling proposition, value proposition, and on. Then here we can determine how many LinkedIn touch points we want to have in our outreach. So for example, if we click 4, we will send 4 LinkedIn messages in our outreach. And then here we can generate a LinkedIn messaging template. This will update the LinkedIn messaging template status to generating. And then using all of this context that we retrieved here about our company, the LinkedIn messaging template will be generated. To give you a brief overview of what's happening, when those automations are triggered and we come in here, so this automation is triggering the company setup. We're using Tavily, which is a tool to scrape my LinkedIn page and my website in this case. And it's going to scrape all of that website information, and then Google Gemini is going to create a detailed overview of all those different sections that we saw here. And now in this, so you just saw that the LinkedIn message template was just created, and that was created, if I go to N8N back here, that was created here, okay, using all of the context from our company setup. So if I come back here, we can see the LinkedIn messaging template. And of course, this can then be adapted by the user via the Airtable interface, and the user can, which is highly recommended by the way, and the user can then create a LinkedIn messaging template that best suits their business. So for example, hi first name, I appreciate you connecting. I reached out because I saw prospect names focus on delivering top tier client SEO results, okay? But for example, we could input something like insert personalized introduction, max 10 words, let's say. And what's going to happen later on when the LinkedIn messages are being generated, the final LinkedIn messages, it's going to look for all of the gaps here, and it's going to try and fill in those gaps with personalized information. So you can create as many gaps as you want. For example, you could put like case study reference here and things like that as well. Okay, but then moving on, so we have a Apollo campaigns tab here and a Google search campaigns tab here. So first I'm going to show you the Google search campaigns tab. So here we can create a Google search campaign. So first you need to name the campaign. So for example, founders of marketing agencies in the United Kingdom. So what we're going to do is we're going to scrape leads for founders of marketing agencies in the United Kingdom. And when we're initiating campaign, we have to link a company sender. So we will link me, Luke Clark from Catalina AI, and we will click create. Then, so how does this work? So you input a Google query here, and as I said, this will initiate a Google query in the back end, a site LinkedIn Google query, which looks like this. For example, founders of marketing agencies in London. So if I come back here, I can input that. Do I want founders of marketing agencies in London? Yeah, okay, that's fine. Then we need to input our ICP, which should be a little bit broader. So for example, founders of marketing agencies. Actually here I'm going to say SEO agencies, and then I'm going to say here, founders of marketing agencies in the United Kingdom, because it doesn't really matter if they're outside of London, that offer SEO as at least one of their services, okay? So for example, if this Google search query returns somebody that is a founder of a marketing agency, not specifically an SEO agency, but the marketing agency offers services like SEO, that's fine for me. And if they're also in Norwich, or a city like a different city in the UK, it's not a big deal either. In the lead qualification step, what's going to happen is that we are going to compare all of the detailed information that we retrieve about our prospects against our ICP, and the AI is going to give us a qualification score between 0 and 10, and only those leads with a qualification score of 7 or greater are going to be used in our outreach. Here you can select the number of leads that you want to scrape. For example purposes, I'm just going to put 10, but you could put up to, for example, 350 to 400 here, because that is how many results are returned typically in a Google search. Then here you can select the language. I'm going to use English, but you can also select Dutch or Polish because our client also wanted to do outreach in Dutch and Polish. And then we can click Start Scraping. And then this will update the status of the scraping status to scraping leads. And then if we go into the system here in the Google search leads table, we will see the leads starting to be scraped. So we have 10 leads scraped here. Then we need to enrich those leads as we've just received the title, LinkedIn profile URL, and profile snippet. So I will click this and this will start enriching the leads. And then after the leads are fully enriched, I will click, or I can already straight away go and click qualify leads, so that when the enriching leads completes, the qualification process will immediately begin. So if I come over here, we can see that the leads are starting to be enriched already. Okay, so all of the leads have just finished enriching, and as you can see we have detailed information here about each of our leads. So first name, last name, LinkedIn headline, address, about, experience details. We received an email address for just 4 of the leads. Usually it's a bit better than that. Then we have the company website, company size, job title, connections, followers, mobile number in some cases. Okay, so then for all of the leads that we receive an email address and a website, we will send to the aggregated leads table because we want the email address and the website. So all of these leads, we will then start putting them through our qualification process. As you can see here, the first lead has just received a qualification score of 10, meaning that it is essentially a perfect match for the ideal customer profile that we specified, which is founders of marketing agencies in the United Kingdom that offer SEO as at least one of their services. So if I come back into the Airtable interfaces here, you can see the enrichment has completed and we're still qualifying the leads. And then if I come over here to LinkedIn leads, 2 of these leads have come through because they've finished the qualification process. One has a qualification score of 10 and the other has a qualification score also of 10. And when the qualification score completes, then we will immediately begin the LinkedIn message generation. So if we come down here, we will see if the messages, so the messages are already generated. And here we have the first message. So for example, hi Rebecca, I appreciate you connecting. Your focus on premium content and fast turnaround for agencies caught my eye. I reached out because I saw Digitally Unique's focus on delivering top tier client SEO results. Agency leaders often tell us that scaling quality content production without proportionally increasing headcount is a major bottleneck. We help them automate entire SEO content lifecycle from keyword research to public article. So that is actually quite a nice message. And what I would like to point out here is that if you remember back in the sender setup, we inputted this part here. So saying insert personalized introduction, match 10 words, max 10 words. And then if you come back here, that's exactly what we have here. We have a personalized introduction in the first message. So that's really nice. You can see the leads are coming in there now. And then for the leads that have an email address, which isn't all of them, we send those leads to the aggregated emails table. And then we will initiate the email verification. And if the email is verified, we will then do the email message generation. So for example, we have just generated the subject line and introduction for one of those leads. And if I come back to the user interface here and I go to email leads tab, go down to the bottom of this one, we have a nice subject line. So Novus AI, sustainable e-commerce growth, no burnout. And the introduction is Antonio, your sustainable growth without chaos at employee-owned Novus is compelling. Okay, so we can insert that as a variable into our email, in the first email that we're sending out as a personalized intro. Okay, now the next step is to actually send the LinkedIn messages. So in order to do that, what I need to do is if I come back to my Google search campaigns, by the way, before going into sending the LinkedIn messages, I want to also point out that you can do Apollo scraping here. And in order to do that, you just need to go to Apollo. So for example, if I go to Apollo and I quickly log in, not sign up, log in. And then I come over here to people. Apollo, if you don't know Apollo, it's basically a huge database full of millions and millions of leads, and you can basically use these filters here to filter down your lead list. So for example, I already have some filters here. Email status as verified, job title, I have put CEO and founder, location, You can put whatever location you like, United States, United Kingdom, industry, for example, apparel and fashion, but I could put like marketing in this case, marketing and advertising. And you can play around with the filters and find a really targeted lead list. And then you just need to take this URL here on the top, go back to the Airtable interfaces, and then when you're initiating an Apollo campaign, again, you say, for example, marketing agencies. I'll just show you a quick use case. Marketing agencies, United Kingdom. Ad company, Luke Clark, create. You put your ICP details, and then you just put the Apollo search URL there, okay? So for example, if I just come back here, I take these ICP details, put them in there, okay? And then you just click start scraping. And for the Apollo scraping, there is a minimum number of leads to be scraped of 500 and a maximum of 50,000. If you go to Appify, the scrapers that we're using for Apollo is this one. So Apollo scraper, scrape up to 50,000 leads. And then the other scraper that we're using for this project is the Mass LinkedIn profile scraper with email. And we use this to enrich the profile information in the, if I come back here, in the LinkedIn lead enrichment step here. Okay. So coming back to the user interface here, I'm not going to scrape 500 leads right now because it takes a bit of time, but just to let you know that is there as well. But if I come back to my Google search campaign here, we can see everything is completed now. Then here, I just need to select the days that I want to send my LinkedIn messages for. So let's say Monday to Friday. I select the start date time. So that could be right now at 11 a.m. let's say. Then this LinkedIn sending hours. So this is where you set the hours that are allowed for LinkedIn messages to be sent. So I can say between 9 and 6 p.m. for example. And then I just need to click active here, and this will initiate the LinkedIn campaign. So what I want to show you is that if you come back here into the Airtable database, and if we go to aggregated leads, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 leads that are eligible for sending. They're all qualified. They all have a qualification score above 10. All the LinkedIn messages are generated. And if we come over here, we have last contact time and next contact time. This is currently empty because we have not scheduled our campaign. However, if I click active here, an automation is going to trigger inside of Airtable, which will schedule those leads. So let's come back. So as you can see, all the leads were just scheduled, starting at 1 o'clock with today, so 8th of September, and then 20 past 1, 40 minutes past 1, and so on. Okay, so 1 o'clock is in the future, and this formula here is basically comparing the current date against the next contact date time to determine if this lead is eligible or ready to be sent. For example, if I change this to 9 a.m., this is updating to ready because the next contact time is now in the past. So let's maybe change this one to 9 a.m. as well. And then if we go over to our automations here, we have, yes, this send LinkedIn messages automation, which is currently turned off. However, I will run it just for example purposes. So what I need to do to run it, this is the sending LinkedIn messages section. So here we are sending the LinkedIn messages. So all of the leads that are eligible will be received here. And then they will go through here. And here we're checking the LinkedIn step to be sent, which by default is, I believe, 1. If I go over back into the data, just to show you very quickly, the LinkedIn step to send by default is 1. Okay, so meaning we have to send the first message or the first contact. We have to send our connection request. So the leads will come in here. The first step to be sent will be 1. So we will get the LinkedIn profile for that lead using Unipile. And then we'll come in here and we're going to check if we have a relationship with that lead. So we're going to check if they're already connected with us. If they're not connected, they're going to come down to this. And then we're going to check if we have already sent them a connection request. If false, we're just going to go through here and we're going to update the next contact time to 48 hours in the future. So meaning basically, if we have already sent them a connection request, we're still waiting to be connected with them. We're just going to say that, okay, let's contact them again in 48 hours, or let's check if we've connected with them in 48 hours. If we have not sent that connection request, we're going to send the connection request, okay, and update some records inside of Airtable. Then back here, if we already have a relationship with this person, we're going to come up here, and then we're going to check if we have a chat history with that person. If we don't have a chat history with that person, we're going to send them the first LinkedIn message. And if we do have a chat history with that person, i.e. meaning that we already contacted them in the past, it wouldn't really make sense for us to start randomly sending a cold outreach sequence to them. So we will basically just update the status of the lead as historically connected, and we won't contact them in the future. Okay, when the first LinkedIn message is sent, we will update the LinkedIn step to be sent to 2, and we will update the next contact time to another 48 hours in the future, so that then in 48 hours in the future, the lead will become eligible to be contacted again, and they will have a step to be sent of 2, and then we will send the second message, okay? In the case that they haven't replied, then we'll send the third message, then we'll send the fourth message another 48 hours later. And then finally, we have this webhook here, which is going to check for replies, okay? So in Unipile, if you go over to Unipile, you can go to webhooks, you can create a webhook, a messaging webhook, let's just name it demo, and continue. And then you say on new message, so the webhook will trigger on a new message when a new message is received. By default, this webhook will be linked to all of the LinkedIn accounts connected to this Unipile account, but that's not an issue. And then you need to input the callback URL here. So the callback URL is the URL of this webhook here, okay? So for example, you would take the production URL and you would go back to Unipile, you would just paste that in there, and then you would create webhook. So now anytime I receive a LinkedIn message, it's going to be received into this webhook here. And what we're going to do is we're going to search through all the records in our leads database, and we're going to compare the chat ID of the chat that I have with this person to the chat ID in our Airtable database, which we have stored. If you come here to when we send a LinkedIn message, we're updating our Airtable database with the LinkedIn chat ID. And basically, if we find a match, then we're going to update the status of that lead to responded. And we're also going to do some sentimental analysis here to understand if their response is positive, negative, or neutral. And when we update the status of that lead to responded, we're not going to reach them anymore. Okay. So with that overview, let's just click execute workflow here. And then let's go back to Airtable, automations. And we want to, run this automation, okay? So that should take those 2 records and send them into Airtable. Okay, so now you can see this is executing workflow. It's a little bit slow just because the Airtable the N8N automation is so large. So we get the profile, we're not connected, we're sending a connection request. Okay. Then we're going to wait for 3 seconds before going again. It comes back here. Normally I generate a random wait time between 60 and 90 seconds, but for demo purposes I wanted this to run fast. So this person, we're also sending them a connection request. Okay. And then if you go back to Airtable, in the database here, we will see that the last contact time has been updated to now. The next contact time has been updated tomorrow at the same time. And the LinkedIn step to send is still 1 because we haven't sent them the connection, or we haven't sent them the LinkedIn message yet. We have just sent them the connection request. The status has been updated to connection request pending. And that is basically it. Okay, and the status here has been updated to sequence in progress. So that's basically it for the LinkedIn message sending, the generation and the personalization and everything. What's also important is we need to be able to pause our campaigns. So if we come back here to the interface, for example, we can pause the campaign. And if we come back here, excuse me, you can see the status is updated to paused. And then if we go over here, we can see that, well, all of these are not eligible to be sent anyway, but for example, if I update to this into the past, this is still not going to be eligible because the campaign is paused. Why? Because this formula is also taking into account the campaign status. If I open up the formula for you here, it's only taking into account this when the status is scheduled or the status is equal to sequence in progress. In those two circumstances, the lead will be eligible to be sent. And of course that the next contact time is in the past. And that is basically it, guys. So for the email generation, if we come back here, go to email leads, we have 2 leads here with an email verification result of OK. And in this instance, we just have the subject line and the personalized introduction. And what you can do is you can use a tool that I have actually linked here at the front of the system, like Instantly. And you can use Instantly to do email outreach, and then you can use these variables that we have generated inside our system here. If I just quickly go back, you can basically insert a personalized subject line and a personalized introduction into your email sequences, okay? If you don't know a lot about Instantly, I'll do more videos on that in the future. But this is really interesting because you can input a lot of more personalized variables, for example, calling out a particular product on their website or referencing a case study of yours that is the best match to that particular prospect. And the goal of all of this is to basically grab the attention of the recipient and increase the reply rate of your email campaigns so that you can book more calls, essentially. That is the goal here, to get more clients. If I come back into N8N, we have several other automations here which are just being implemented to update the daily connection limit. Okay, so every day, if I come back into the interface here and I go to sender setup, every day this daily connection limit will be updated to give a random number between 8 and 15. So for example, tomorrow could be 12, and then tomorrow we'll send 12 connection requests. This is important to implement randomness in the system so that we're not sending exactly 10 connection requests every day, because then LinkedIn is likely to block our account because they can see that it's an automated system. Here you can see actually that the LinkedIn connection request sent today is updated to 2. And when this exceeds our daily connection limit, what will happen is pause campaigns when the daily connection limit is reached. So these automations will be triggered and that will pause the campaigns. So the campaigns will be paused until the following day. The following day, these numbers here will be updated. So this could be updated to 12. This will be updated again to 0 because the following day we will have sent 0 connection requests and 0 messages. And we will also trigger this automation here, which is used using an Airtable trigger to reactivate the daily campaign. And that will reactivate the campaign and start sending messages again. And this is just a safety check to pause the campaign at night to make sure that the campaign is paused, and we run this at 10 p.m. every night. So as you can see, the N8N workflow is extremely large and complex. I tried to dumb it down as much as I could, but unfortunately I can't go through every single node in detail, as I would probably be here until next week. Additionally, inside the Airtable database, there is a pile of automations here to ensure that everything runs seamlessly. But guys, if you want the N8N workflow and if you want the Airtable database, both of them will be made available inside our school community, which is the AI Marketing Hub. This is a new school community that myself and my partner Daniel Agrici have recently created to help sales and marketing professionals enhance their processes with AI. And we would absolutely love to have you in here, guys. All of our advanced production ready systems that you can actually go out and sell to other companies will be made available to all of the community members in here. And we will also be here every day available to help you with any difficulties you run into. Alright, so that's it for the video, guys. I hope you got a lot out of it. Alright, so that's it for the video, guys. I hope you found it interesting. I hope to see you inside the AI Marketing Hub. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Take care.